Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me say how happy I am to welcome you again on this program, The Debate. This is 2021, and like we said in our last program, we no more want to only popularize this agenda. We equally want to create other awareness, like doing some sustainable program where youths can learn and equally help themselves. This evening, our program will be on the topic financial inclusions and agricultural production frontiers in Africa. And with me in the studio will be Professor Alabi Adiolu, who will be taking us or treating us on this topic. Remember, he was there last week. And Professor is a holder of a BSc in agriculture. He equally has an MSc and PhD in agricultural economics, postdoctorate in development in University of Bremen, consultant to World Bank on agriculture, and equally IMF scholar in 2028. This is a square peg, like I always say, in a square hole, and we are choosing agriculture to begin our year with, knowing that agriculture is a very lucrative sector, and many youths equally don't like to venture in agriculture. And for Africa to achieve the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, we must devote ourselves to agribusiness. Unlike other continents globally, Africa is known for its food insecurity, poverty, and increased unemployment. The one way we could eradicate poverty, unemployment, and food insecurity is through agricultural business. The question then we ask ourselves is, if Africa is so blessed with fertile soils and lands, why do people migrate from Africa in search of greener pastures in Europe? These and more will be yours with my host, or my guest, sorry, Professor Alabi. Join me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome my guests in the studio who will be with me for 1 hour and will actually drill you and encourage you and motivate you to pick up agriculture as a profession and as a business. Professor, you are very welcome again to your platform, the Sumpon Global TV, and we are happy to have you again. And you will be running for almost 6 to 8 weeks. We are enlightened and we are happy to have you on our program. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon. In continuation of what we started last week, we are still looking at agriculture, but this time around, we are trying to link financial inclusion with agricultural development in Africa. Today, we'll be able to reveal the financial exclusions of farmers as pertaining to agriculture in African continent. Then we try to establish the relationship between the financial inclusions and agricultural productivity. Then we portray the importance of mobile money in increasing financial inclusion in Africa. And then, as we all are aware, the low infrastructural status of African continent, but we want to relate that to financial inclusion. We are going to present the area of digital platform, financial inclusions, and then we'll see how we can scale up agricultural activities given the African land endowment. We hope that this presentation will encourage the diasporas and the youth to engage in agricultural activities in Africa. As we have said last week, there is a lot of land in Africa. 60% of world's total uncultivated arable land is located in Africa. The whole 60% of uncultivated land is located in Africa. Then about 120 million Africans are out of work, they are unemployed or underemployed. and about 400 million Africans are under the poverty line. Then more than 60% of the African population is below the age of 25, meaning that we have abundant land, we have abundant youth, and these are unutilized resources. And every year, about 11 million young Africans enter reach working age. Each year, with about 11 million Africans, they are mature to work. And one thing about the African land is that, as we have said, the majority of the land is uncultivated. So most of the farmers are small scale, and about 81% of them have less than 6 hectares per land. So these smallholders produce 95% of agricultural products in Africa, based and they are small scale. Now, to continue,
We seem to have some technical hitches there with the professor, who is handling the topic agricultural inclusion or financial inclusion, sorry, and agricultural production frontiers in Africa. And he is making mention of the fact that Africa has quite abundant land, which is still uncultivated. And we are basing today actually on financial inclusions, what actually it means, agricultural production frontiers, what are those barriers in Africa as concerns agriculture, what are those issues that will limit cultivation as well as productivity in Africa, which, of course, we can't reconcile that with the abundant land that we have. Okay. All right. We seem to have some hitches there with connection. I was saying that about 25% of our youth, or 25% of youth or African population are youth who can actually indulge in agriculture. And before Prof will be coming back, hopefully he will be joining us. He should have some technical hitches. He will throw more light on some of the issues that are really plaguing African sector as far as agriculture is concerned. Thank you, Prof. You're back again.
yeah.
Surely some technical hitches. All right, just continue from there.
So we have presented a kind of background information about agricultural activities in Africa, and just to remind us that some of these problems are perpetuated because of the inconsistency in agricultural and economic policy in the country. We have problem of low soil fertility. There are cultural issues related to land. There is climate change challenges. There's a problem of extensions and manpower skill development. So the interest tonight is to let us know that some of these are tackled by ability of enough capital. That's our interest in financial inclusion. That if the farmer has money, they have capital, they can solve most of these problems. And so, what do we mean by this financial inclusion is to encourage people to have access, especially farmers, to good quality financial services at affordable price in a convenient manner and that is suitable to their need. And so that's what we mean by financial inclusion, that they have access to quality financial services at affordable price and in a convenient manner. So these services will match the client's need, because we know that farmer need a kind of special capital of their production. And so there are some times where they are planting, at that time they need a lot of money, a lot of capital to invest on their farms. And so then they have to wait for a period of time before this thing mature, and then the crop is harvested and they're able to get money. So we need a kind of financial accessibility that is suitable to their kind of challenges and production cycle. Now, I just presented a case that in Africa generally, South Africa has the highest financial inclusion. And when we are talking about financial inclusions, we are just looking at the area where these farmers have access to capital. It can be formal, it can be informal. But the interest is that where do they get capital at all? So South Africa has the highest financial inclusion rate, whereas Burkina Faso has the lowest among the country we presented in our paper. But what is interesting to us is to look at the nature and the structure of financial inclusion among farmers. Now, farmers are the most excluded set of people when it comes to financial inclusion. Like 52% of the farmers don't have access to any form of capital services, either formal or informal, 52% of them. And those that have access to financial services, only 15% of them you get it through formal banking. Others are informal sources of financial accessibility. Later we can talk more about that, the benefit of formal banking related to informal credit sources. One of the problems with informal credit financial services is because it is the high interest rate. So, but the benefit of it is that it's very close to the farmer. They can easily get money from this informal arrangement. But the problem is there is high level of the high interest rate. Now we try to relate financial inclusion with agricultural productivity. We discovered that they are positively correlated, meaning that if you increase financial inclusion, you are going to increase agricultural productivity. And then we relate it to other development indicators like income poverty, illiteracy, unemployment, underemployment. And we discovered that financial inclusion is negatively related to poverty, negatively related to illiteracy, negatively related to unemployment, negatively related to underemployment. The meaning of that is that if we increase financial inclusion, poverty level, income poverty level will go down. If we increase financial inclusion, illiteracy level will go down. If we increase financial inclusion, unemployment level will go down. If we increase financial inclusion, underemployment will go down. So that make it a very subsector that we need to work on. If we increase our financial inclusion, our agricultural productivity will increase, and there will be improvement in this development indicators that I enumerated. Now, another thing that challenges us is that we discovered that in Kenya, for example, there is high level of financial inclusion. For example, in Kenya, 64% of the farmers are financially included. That are financially included. So we are now interested that what is the reason. We discovered that one of the factors is what we call mobile money in Kenya. Almost 80% of Kenyans participated in mobile money, and that translated and improved their financial inclusion. So we presented in this slide I have in my front, we related mobile money with financial inclusion, and they are positively related. That is, if you increase mobile money transaction, financial inclusion will increase. And this mobile money, you don't need bank or what you just need is your mobile phone, and then you register with a mobile money agent. And so that's one of the areas where we can think about. And the good thing is that Sub-Saharan Africa, especially Kenya, has the highest rate of mobile money participation in the whole world. And so that's the area we have a comparative advantage which we can make use to improve our financial inclusion. Then the challenge is that, okay, if you say we want to use mobile money, what about infrastructural development? For example, you need electricity to charge the phone. If the phone is not powered, you cannot use it to do your mobile money. So we related those infrastructure, physical infrastructure, and then we related it with mobile money. We discovered that they are positively related, meaning that if you increase your electricity generations, accessibility to electricity, participation in mobile money will increase. So we are trying to trace this thing that if you increase the mobile money, financial inclusion will increase. But for you to increase mobile money participation, you need to increase the infrastructural level. So it's a straight line equation. You can go from accessibility to infrastructure to mobile money participation, and for mobile money participation, then we can go to financial inclusion, and financial inclusion can increase our agricultural productivity. And because it has been successfully done in Kenya, we feel that that will be a good direction for Africa to think about. Finally, before I round up, there are other digital platforms for financial inclusion. These are very novel and recent idea. For example, we have what you call Farm Crowdy. Farm Crowdy use online connectivity to source funds from sponsors. And this should be the area where the youth should be interested and the diaspora should be interested. Because with Farm Crowdy, what you just need internet, accessibility to internet. Then you go to their website, you see the area of farms, whether you want to do poultry, whether you want to do rice, then you select. And so these sponsors, they don't need to be a farmer, but they can sponsor farmers. So, and the return is between 6 to 25%, and is between 3 to 9 months, depending on the agricultural activities you want to participate. If it is poultry, if it is rice, if it is maize, if it is millet. And the Farm Crowdy has impacted more than 25,000, almost 26,000 small scale farmers on about 16,000 acres of land, and they have raised almost 6 million chicken. So what you do is that you have your money, then you go to you download the application is available. You download the application, then you select the farm, and then you select what you want to do, and then you say I want to sponsor a farm, and then you pay. When you pay, you can even monitor the development of the farm. You can even arrange a visit that you want to come and visit the farm. All these things are allowed. So these are digital arrangements that is making people that, number one, you don't need to be a farmer to participate in agricultural activities in Africa. In fact, the Farm Crowdy, the sponsors, about 10% of the sponsors are from US and UK. So the rest are based in Nigeria. So you are in UK, you just go to the website, you select the farm you want to participate, and then there's a way you enter the amount of money, then there's a way you transfer the money, and then you are sure of 6 to 25% increase in the money. So at the end of the activities, at the end of the production, they are going to give you back your money if you want, or if you want to invest, and then you are going to give you the profit. And then the good thing is that all the farms are insured with lead assurance in Nigeria. So the sponsorship starts with about $270. So if you want, you can double that, you can triple that. It depends on the scale of the enterprises you want to engage in. So at the end of the harvest, you get you receive 40% of the profits, and then you receive the original amount you paid as a sponsor, and then the farmer will receive a return of 40%. The farmer that is in Africa doing the farm will receive the 40% of the profit. You will receive 40% of the profit, and then the Farm Crowdy, which is the digital platform, digital organization, digital agent, will receive 20% of the profit. Now, what the Farm Crowdy did is to pair farmers and sponsors together. The farmers are over there, just like we said, there is abundant land, and he doesn't have money to do the cultivation. Even if he has the money, the scale is so low. So he wants to increase the scale, but he doesn't have money. So that can be a good platform that the sponsor will give the money. Then the farm crowding will use the money, and then the profit you get share of 40% of the profit as a sponsors. The farmer get 40%, and then you get 20% of your profit. And the application is downloadable in Play Store. Then you select what you want to do, and there's a website, farmcrowdy.com, www.farmcrowdy.com. They are reliable set of people that one can do business with. Another one is M-Farm in Kenya. M-Farm is already is another digital application. Is downloadable from Play Store on your smartphone. So what you just do is that you send message to 3555 to get information on the price of the product, on the input you want to buy, and then you can find the buyers. So transactions are handled by the M-Farm integrated mobile money transfer system. You want to buy, you can sell, you can buy using the platform. Then the M-Farm, which is a digital agency, will take a transaction fee, and the number has grown from 2000 in 2012 to about 70,000 people now on that platform. So the research has shown that farmers can double their sale using this platform because of the lower cost of transactions. And then one of the problems of farming in Africa is that the farmers are scattered here and there. So what M-Farm was able to do is to assemble these farmers together, because if you're on the platform, you can say, okay, you want to sell 1 bag of rice, this one want to sell 1 bag of rice. Using that platform, they will tell you where you people will meet and assemble this product so that the buyers can come to that place and meet you people there, and then the transaction will be done digitally. I feel that the diasporans can be interested in this to have this kind of platform, because it's not common in all African countries. I talk about Kenya. Then, even if you wouldn't want to do like that, how can I sponsor the farm? So these are some of the things we should be thinking about. There are other digital platforms. There's what they call Thrive Africa. There's EZ Farming. All these are digital organizations. There's a book that will soon come out before the end of this year. I wrote something like that. The book is being published by University of Bremen. But before the end of, I think before June, the book will come out. We have all these digital platform where agriculture can be going on and you are not on the farm. Somebody is doing the work on the farm, and then your own is to sponsor those farms. So I think I have to take stop here so that we can have time to interact with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful presentation. Paradoxical, of course, when we talk of Africa having a very youthful population, abundant uncultivated land, with less than 85% of the inhabitants owning less than 6 hectares of land, we begin to ask ourselves if this is not actually very paradoxical. Let us have our jingle, then we will come back for the interactions equally from our viewers who are on Facebook and on YouTube. Can we have a jingle so that Prof can... You're welcome back to the Somfun Global TV after a brilliant expose there by Professor Alabi, a square peg, of course, like I always say, in a square hole. He gives us the details and the intricacies that goes with agriculture as well as financial inclusion, not leaving out agricultural productivity and frontiers, of course, in Africa. Prof, before we had that jingle, I was talking about the paradox where we have our youths very young, energetic to work on the lands that are readily available, but then they still prefer to go out of the country. You see many of them dying in the Mediterranean instead of cultivating the lands. What can be the motivating factor for these youths to prefer leaving their own continent, which is so rich, so fertile, to go out there and sleep under the bridges and work menial jobs when farming is just there for them here in the continent?
Thank you very much. I think I still want to credit this platform, and that our major problem in Africa is lack of awareness. On Saturday, I visited a lady. She told me that when she was in Africa, she thought that they were picking money in Europe. So that was the idea they have at the back of their mind. And when you come here, you just be grabbing money, you'll be picking money everywhere. So that was why they took that risk. And that's why this platform is a kind of revolution to me. We may not know what we are doing now, but like yesterday, somebody called me from Ghana, and it was chatting with me that he didn't watch the thing live, but it was the recorded one he listened to, and he has been interested in agriculture all this year. So this platform gave him that understanding of what can be done. So the starting point is what we are doing now: lack of information that this agriculture can be profitable. Another thing is that you don't need to do agriculture only with cutlass and hoe. Just like we said, you can even be anywhere, then you use your money, and then you get 40% of whatever you have. So because what people think that when you talk of agriculture, you have to carry cutlass, and it's very labor intensive and all that. I think agriculture has gone beyond that. It's an enterprise. It depends. You can even go into processing. So maybe next week we'll talk about that. You can go into processing if you don't want to even be producing fish on the ground. So there are different chain, different level where you can participate, and it's very profitable. So just to summarize that, I think the awareness, lack of information, people don't have the right information. The other time that in Africa, we need to go and educate our people what is
It's like network is playing it fast one. Network is playing a fast one on us there. We were having Prof who was explaining the paradox where our African youths who are supposed to be back here in the country plowing the lands prefer to leave the country and go out. And you will bear with me that you don't usually know what you have in hand. You think that in Europe we pick money around, that you just greet somebody in the morning and he gives you a bag of money. But then that is not what we have on the ground. Prof has explained quite many things that I really wanted him clear, of course, but I just wanted him to come again so that he can throw more light on some issues that I found a bit contradictory in his presentation, not per se, but that needs some light to be thrown so that other people who may have the same worries like myself will be able to actually understand what obtains, why all the discrepancies that we may have, and the intricacies that follow these discrepancies. Because at the end of the day, you discover that it is not because the things doesn't work. But sometime I was watching something and somebody talked of financial illiteracy, where people are not well informed about money, and they even can be just beside financial institutions, but they don't know how to access financial services. Thank God Prof is back. Prof, you were talking about youth who prefer to go out thinking that we pick money around in Europe.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think everything boiled down to number one, the awareness. Number two, to give proper information uh, to these young ones, and we should be thinking of how to even do that. Not only that we are telling them that agriculture is profitable, but we have to go and tell them the reality of what is happening in Europe. We can think of how to do that to balance the information. Then uh, I think that will serve a very good purpose.
I wish to ask you, Prof, if you notice very well, you discover that financial inclusion has been conceptualized to actually deal more with the formal sector, leaving the informal sector behind. Whereas when you look at the 81% of Africans who are having less than 6 hectares of land and who are not financially literate, I want to believe that they are functioning more with the informal sector, which doesn't actually come into the elaboration of the percentages that we have in financial inclusion when we actually talk of it per se, because we are talking about mobile money, the banks, and big financial institutions. We're talking about the government. How then do we come in, or what position does the informal financial sector play in agricultural or financial inclusion and agricultural productivity?
And thank you very much. I think the straight way to look at this is to formalize our informality. What I mean by that is that the informal sector can be formalized. The farmers, we can form a cooperative. We are farmers scattered here and there. Then we come together, we gather together, then we form cooperative. Cooperative is formal. Then with the cooperative, if you want to borrow money as a cooperative from the bank, it's easy to get than as an individual. So we need to formalize that, come together so that that corporation now, they will register it. To register the cooperative is easier. It doesn't take time to register the cooperative. Then with that, you go to the bank, you can even you talk to the government, you can even put pressure on the policy because of your size. So if all of you come out as a cooperative that, oh, we don't want this policy, this and that, the government want to listen to you than one individual talking. So let's formalize our informality. I think we should be thinking about that. You know that in Europe, yeah, almost everything is formalized. You want to even rear poultry at the back of your house, at certain number, the government wants you to register that. And so we should be thinking about that. All these scattered efforts will not give us what we want. Let's come together, we formalize everything, then we'll be able to put pressures on the financial sectors, pressure on the government, and then we can make a demand on what we want, and that can even increase our capital accessibility to capital. The government will rely more on cooperative than on individual to give financial accessibility.
I love the way you put it, Prof. You say we should formalize our informal sector, and that is a holistic question that goes a long way to handle many aspects of that question that I posed. When I look at the definition and explanations of financial inclusion, which says financial inclusion is about enabling and empowering people and communities to have the ability to and tools to manage and save their money, empowering people with skills and knowledge to make the right financial decisions. And we will notice that the Africans who are not financially up to standard sometimes do not have access to financial services because of collateral. How can we handle this type of issue?
Yeah, collateral is a requirement because the money they are being given, there is a risk associated with that money. And I still believe that if the farmer comes together as a cooperative, that risk exposure to individual cannot be compared with risk to cooperative. Then as a cooperative, they can even use the cooperative land as a collateral for that purpose, rather than to say I want to use my father's house. So I still feel that by the time we come together, that way we'll be able to mitigate the risk associated with individual. So we come together, then we can put our resources together, then we can use the cooperative land, as a collateral. I think that will solve part of the problem.
Okay, we use part of the land as collateral
Mm.
to be able
Yeah.
to get money. We still have a problem at that level. Excuse me. Many women who are even indulged in farming in rural areas face greater problems because property is hardly, handed to women. So how can we again involve the women who are really into agriculture and don't have any rights to owning property, talk less of farmlands and all of that? How do you see the situation of women when it comes in agriculture?
I think apart from even agriculture generally, there are other challenges that women are being faced. Gender violence, uh, circumcisions, a lot of problems. So I feel that the advocacy will be the right way, and there are a lot of groups that are coming up on that. That they are advocating for some of these cultural practices have to change. There was a case in the Bible like that, that when a man died, the woman does not have a right. So these women now went to Moses and they challenged that why is it that we are only four women and our father does not have a man. Because of that, Moses had to change the law. That from there, because of this one, right from now, it has to change. So there should be a lot of advocacy on the part of not only from women, on the part of some of us that believe in inclusive growth, inclusive development. That these women, there is no difference between a man and a woman. And so those cultural practices have to be challenged and it has to gradually be done. And advocacy should be the answer from the beginning and from all of us. Because if we grow together, we are going to make more impact than only men that have capital, and those capital can even be idle because the man doesn't know what to do with the money. And this is enterprising women that are ready to do something with the money, and the money is not getting to that individual. So it's part of inclusive growth, in part of financial inclusions, and in part of inclusive growth is that we have to carry everybody along. And some of those cultural practices have to be challenged by strong advocacy.
Aspiration 1 of Agenda 2063, Prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. What role do you think, or what role actually does the AU play in order to bring about the realization of this inclusive growth and sustainable development as far as agriculture is concerned, Prof?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. During the presentation, I link I linked financial inclusion with agricultural growth. I mean, productivity growth. It's a straight line. The correlation is positive. So, but another area where financial inclusion is important is this, related to other development indicators, let's say health, let's say poverty, let's say education. Now, this farmer has planted his farm. Let's say he has money to plant the farms, and then the crop is still growing. He has not harvested, and then the school said they should bring money to buy books for his children, and there is no money. So if he has a financial access, if he can go to the bank or he go to other formal sectors, if he can get the money to solve that problem, after the harvest he can pay them back. Now the boy will be able to continue in the school. The boy will be able to pay his school fees. So now we are helping the farmer, not only on his farm, but we are helping his children in the school. Now let's say the child gets sick and he has invested all the money on the farm, and now the child gets sick and there's no money elsewhere. He has not harvested his crop. It will take 3 months before the maize will come out to be harvested. Now the child gets sick. So this guy now, he has access to the bank. He can go and borrow money and then treat his children. And so you see that financial inclusion, that's what we are talking about is. Because if the farmer is not able to get the money and anything happen to that child, that man will be psychologically disturbed. It will not be, so that problem. And if the child does drop out of school, now the father is not able to pay the school fees, is not able to send the child to school. That child now, let's say, come back and he was not educated. That cycle of poverty will continue. That's why we feel that with these financial inclusions, it can help us to work on these development indicators, and it will make our growth to be sustainable and to be inclusive, because the farmers are neglected. They are under the rung of the ladder. So this thing can bring them up and participate in development activities and enjoy some of these development indicators.
Okay, thank you, Prof. In your presentation, you talked about financial agencies, if I got it correctly, where you made mention of mobile money, where you don't have to build so confiscated infrastructure. And you equally talked about some digital agencies. You talked of Farm Crowdy and MFAM, where products are assembled for farmers for easy marketing. Prof, we equally hear today widely spoken of cryptocurrency, bitcoins. How do these, or how can these impact on financial inclusion and agricultural productivity in Africa?
Yeah, thank you very much. Bitcoin is a very novel idea, and is still being under process. I mean, the level of development is still very low. Uh, Number one, it's not controlled by any bank. It's not controlled by any government, and the coverage is limited. Just like digital platform, you need your smartphone or computer to be able to access it. So my fear is that the risk there may be too high than to get money from the bank, because if you run into problem and it's not under the bank, it's not under the government, where do you get your money back? And then more importantly, it's even been banned by some country, like I think Angola, Nepal, Vietnam. So some countries, the acceptability is not universal for now. And so I will not encourage farmers to think about that now. But the mobile money has been successfully done in Kenya. In fact, I read that the money in the mobile money sector in Kenya is more than all the money that Western Union is controlling. So you can see the volume of money. 80% of Kenyans use mobile money. The number of M-Pesa agency is more than the number of bank and post office in Kenya. So meaning that it's very accessible. You can easily go there and then you do your transaction. But even as at that, the farmers have to have a phone. We have to have our infrastructures, very, very, very important, and then the level of awareness. So the awareness in Kenya is very high compared with Nigeria. For example, in Nigeria, 70% of Nigeria, they have phone, they have mobile phone, 70%. But it's only 4% of them that are involved in mobile money. So that's why the awareness, they are not aware. They are just carrying the phone. They thought that the phone is just to make a call. So that's why the education and re-education and the awareness is very important. That with this your mobile money, with this your mobile phone, you can do a lot of things with it. And Kenya is a very good example, and Tanzania is another good example when it comes to that. You don't need to queue at any bank. You don't even need to have a bank account. So we just play with the number. You can get your money. You can send your money. I think the farmers should be thinking about that, and we have related that to a financial inclusion. That the reason why the financial inclusion in Kenya is the highest, I think, almost all over the world, is because of this mobile money circulation transaction.
Thank you so much. A wonderful point there that we all need to emulate what Kenya is doing. If you look around Africa, you see that many people have smartphones. You don't even necessarily need a smartphone to be able to operate a mobile money account. So this, like we're talking about the informal sector, many farmers can easily gain access to this financial service. I wish to recognize all those who are watching us online live. on Facebook and on YouTube. Keep your comments and your contributions coming. We have Professor Alabi in the studio with me, and he is talking about financial inclusion and agricultural production frontiers in Africa. Prof, financial inclusion is the availability and equality of opportunities to access financial services. This is a definition of financial inclusion that I had, and I was asking myself, from what we experience on the ground, is there really an equality of opportunities in accessing these financial services?
And there's high level of inequality, and we should be thinking more about that. In fact, somebody said the problem of inequality is worse than the problem of poverty. The problem of inequality is worse than the problem of poverty. The meaning of that is that you have 1 million and I have nothing. So I will be a threat to you. But if you have 1 million, I have 500,000. So we are. In fact, if we have you have 500, I have 200. We are balanced up. I will not be a threat to you. And so that's why inequality is worse than poverty itself. So there's that level of inequality, even with financial inclusion. The African we are talking about, you discover that even among the farmers, male have more access than female, just like you enumerated because of those constraints associated with women. Then we discover that urban area has more access than rural area. We discover that even the age structures, the youth are supposed to have this access to this fund, they don't have it. So there's inequality there. And so occupationally, there is inequality. Gender-wise, there is inequality. Location-wise, there is inequality. So there's all this kind of inequality, and which we should be thinking of how to bridge that gap. So in our paper that will soon come out, we discover that it's not only there is a gender gap in financial inclusion in Africa, even the gap is increasing over the years. We trace it from 2012 to 2018. It's not only that the gap is there, but the gap is getting widened. And that's what happened in the general economy. You discover that the poor are getting poorer, and then the wisers are the poorer are getting poorer, and the richers are getting richer. So the gap is increasing. And so that should give us a concern on the way forward, that we are not only thinking of financial inclusion, but what about the financial gap? How do we bridge that?
The poor getting poorer and the rich getting rich make me think about the McConnell's principle in organic chemistry, where the carbon atom with the less hydrogen is removed or gotten rid of what it has already to give to another one that has more. So you see, the rich keep benefiting more from all the facilities that we have.
Yeah.
Last week, we were talking about agricultural development, of course, and we said that the diasporans actually are usually afraid of investing back home because there is no trust. They don't trust people who are going to run these farms. But today you made us know that with financial inclusion and agricultural production, you can stay far away even from the farms and others do cultivate for you. How then, Prof, can we encourage these diasporans to get so involved in financial inclusion?
I think this is still part of awareness. Maybe we can talk to the CEO that will make a kind of small pamphlet to present some of these digital platforms, especially Farm Crowdy. I've been monitoring them. In fact, I asked one lady to want to do research on them. That we want to, not only that they tell us the farmers is there, the farms are there. We want to do a research. We'll go to their company in Africa. We talk to them, then we'll trace their farmers. So after tracing the farmer, we want to be sure that the farmers that participate in farm crowding, for example, they are better than the other farmers that does not participate. Number one, that will increase the trust in the system. But because they are on the internet, they are very careful of what they are doing. And so there's that level of trust which is different from somebody you don't know, which is different from somebody that just collected your money and there's no any formality. This one, there's a formal arrangement. And more importantly, your money is insured with insurance. There's an insurance company that is associated with them. So even if that company runs a grounded, you can still get your money back from the insurance. So all this is to improve the level of trust in the transaction. I think the diaspora, we should be thinking of something like this. Our interest should be, okay, can I sponsor a farm? You can start with little money, and then we'll see how that runs, and then we can scale up. Number two, we can even be thinking of this digital platform. We have access to electricity here, we have access to internet. Can I do something like that in Sierra Leone? Can I do what they are doing in Kenya, in Congo? We should be thinking of things like that. So there are two levels. Either we sponsor farms, and as I said, you can monitor the farms. They can organize a visit for you to go around the farm. So that is possible. If you want the video of what is going on, they will send it to you. There's a dashboard where you can monitor the activities on the internet. I think these are some of the things that can improve the trust in the system. And the diaspora, we should be thinking of things like that, either digitally transform agriculture or to participate by contributing our capital from it.
Prof, with the advent of coronavirus, we have experienced that food is actually cheap in Africa. Why the consumers are happy that food is cheap because they cannot export the food again. The producers are on a very bad turn because they are not able to make up the money and pay the loans that they got from financial institutions. How can the farmer, protect his or herself from this type of situation where you have finances or financial assistance from a financial body, and now you are not able to get the product or the produce to where they are supposed to get to, or because of some adverse environmental conditions, you have to lose most of these crops. How can the farmer protect himself, the crops, so that he is able to repay conveniently the money or the loan he gets from financial institutions?
I think the starting point is that we have to consume what we are producing. We have to consume what we are producing. For example, in Germany here, hardly would that be a day that you will not eat bread. And there are different types of bread. There are 10 types you must eat. The thing is so designed because they produce a lot of wheat. It's not so. One way you have to consume what you are producing. If you are producing rice, you must eat rice. And so when we are producing, we are not first of all thinking about how to export. So somebody say you have to put your money where your mouth is. You put your money where your mouth is. So when you are producing something, you are not eating, you are not consuming that thing. So there is no market. So a case like this, that's why there will be a problem. And so there will be a problem when there is a problem with, there's always problem with international trade. If it's not pandemic, something will happen. So that's why developed country, what they do is that I told people that there is no developed country, there are developed people. They are very wise. So if you are in Asia, you have to eat rice because that's what they produce. It is the excess we can think of taking them out. So that's very important that on the part of government, on the part of different agencies, we have to encourage people to produce what we eat and eat what we produce. So that's very important. And then another thing that's going on in Africa now is that we're encouraging to do trade among ourselves. That's another good step. There was a time I wanted to do that study to find out if trading with Africa is better than to trade with Europe. And so there's that arrangement now that has been signed into a memorandum of understanding or whatever, that we have to trade within ourselves. Then another area that will have been very good for Africa, which we are not thinking about, is the insurance. It happens here, I think 2018, 80% of the farms, there was no rain. So things got spoiled. And no farmer committed suicide because the farm is already insured. So you can be sure that you will get your money back. So everything here is insured. You insure your car. There are different types of insurance. In my house, I have to do insurance so that if anything spoil, you do insurance for your children. If your children spoil something, there's some everything, including some people, or everything. The insurance company there should be that reawakening on that insurance policy to make sure that number one, your farm is insured, and then if anything happen, there will not be, you are not going to bear all the risk. But the main message is that we should consume what we are producing.
Thank you so much, Prof. That seems to be your last word. Always time is on our side. So much to say, short time, but we're happy that we actually touched most of the points. And if I should go back to the salient points that you made mention in your presentation, you say let us formalize our informal sector, consume what we produce, and equally love what we produce, trade amongst ourselves, ensure our crops so that farmers don't get themselves wanting if conditions don't favor the growth and productivity of their crops, and that we should equally involve our youths, create awareness, and let them know that home is home. This is the debate we are popularizing, now training the youth to know that the first aspiration where we are talking about inclusive growth, we want that the youth should be totally involved because this agenda is going to meet them just at the point of need. Prof, it's always a wonderful pleasure to have you on the platform. I see you still looking like you have a last word for the youth.
Now, I think it's okay that we should know that agriculture is not only cutlass and hoe, it can be done as a business. And
Good.
the profitability is higher than to take the risk to jump to Europe. Europe here, in fact, I feel that the way people are working here, if you work at home like that, we will not have problem. The way people are laboring here inside the snow, inside the winters. So if you work like that in our country, in our continent, we are not going to have problem. So I thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, for the opportunity. I still feel that this is going to be a revolution. This information is getting to some people, and there's going to be a change over a certain period of time.
There is always going to change, Prof. Giving up is not an option here on the
Yeah.
Sompan Social Service and Sompan Global TV. You say farming is not just cutlasses and hoes, that farming now is modernized, is mechanized, and it's even digital that we can sit at home while work is being done. Thank you so much, Prof. It's always a wonderful pleasure having people like you come to the program and motivate because from what you have presented today, many people are going to pick up agriculture as a profession, as a career. And like you say, we can make things happen with agriculture, and that Europe, they don't pick money. If we have to work the way we work in Europe, back at home, we are going to realize so many things. That is how we have it for today on the debate. Thanking all those who were with us from the very beginning to now. Keep your comments coming always and keep watching the Sumpon Global TV. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Prof. We're hoping to be together again next week on another very powerful point, still on agriculture. We want to awaken the youth and to make them know that agriculture this time is not what we used to have in the olden days, but that agriculture has become so modern that people even have PhDs. And I'm sure, Prof, you are looking for another higher degree even again in agriculture. If there should, then you are going to get into that program. I am learning much from you as we are working together on this program. Keep
Thank
tuned
you.
to the Sunfun TV. And Prof, whenever you have time, please always be there for us because we are basing on agriculture and we have taken this to begin the year with because we know how far agriculture can take us. Thank you so much and see you
Thank you
next week.
very
Bye bye.
much. Thank you. Bye.